There is a universal truth in professional sports: the greatest athletes rarely need to raise their voices to be heard. When you operate at the absolute peak of your profession, when your presence on the court dictates not just the outcome of a game but the financial trajectory of an entire league and forces entire nations to adjust their defensive strategies, your way of communicating changes. You don't pound the podium at press conferences. You don't leak frustrated quotes to the media. You communicate on an entirely different frequency, subtle, calculated, infinitely more powerful. Every play, every assist, every movement sends a message louder than words. Occasionally, you drop a single digital statement so precise it sends shockwaves through the entire establishment. If you've been following Caitlin Clark's recent activity, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The narrative around the United States national team has reached a boiling point. The coaching staff has been navigating a dangerous, frustrating game, but Caitlin Clark is famously untouchable in this space. She doesn't engage in petty drama online. She doesn't post cryptic messages. She lets her game do the talking. Yet, after Team USA's demolition of New Zealand, she broke character. A professional photographer at the World Cup qualifiers posted a massive gallery of highlights, but one photo stood out. Heavily stylized, undeniably iconic, it captured Clark in her element, her dominance, her aura, the undisputed center of the basketball universe. Clark didn't just like the photo. She scrolled through the entire gallery to find it and amplified it to millions of followers. To the casual fan, it's just an athlete sharing a cool picture. But in the world of elite sports psychological warfare, this was a roaring declaration of independence. It was a subliminal, perfectly executed message to the veterans, the coaches, and the entire basketball world: I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I do to these defenses. You can hide me in the corner. You can take the ball from my hands, but you cannot suppress the engine. And here lies the tragedy: the Team USA coaching strategy actively resists this reality instead of embracing it. They are committing one of the most glaring, frustrating tactical crimes in international basketball history. The United States won by over 50 points, but look closer. The box score tells one story: Clark had a great game, but the game tape tells another: systemic suppression. The coaching staff forced Clark into positions that neutralized her entire skill set. A visionary point guard, the most lethal pick-and-roll orchestrator on the planet, was asked to operate out of the corner like a decoy stretch four. A Ferrari was asked to act as a snowplow. The offense ground to a halt. Clark was put in impossible defensive mismatches, guarding towering opponents in the paint, yet she refused to flinch. Her elite instincts, timing, and strength allowed her to secure turnovers and keep the team afloat despite the chaos around her. Every time she touched the ball, she created mathematically perfect opportunities for her teammates, even when they didn't convert. And in moments of brilliance, she delivered absolute highlights: a 70-foot, no-dribble full-court missile to Paige Bueckers for an effortless finish. A contested logo three-pointer under the heaviest pressure. Relentless steals and rebounds, turning broken plays into live-ball advantages. She refused to be a spectator, even when the coaches tried to make her one. Meanwhile, moments of light-hearted chemistry in the locker room, like teammates joking and placing hats on her head, shattered the manufactured narrative of jealousy or discord. The players were never the problem. The talent on the roster was never the problem. The problem was a coaching philosophy terrified of embracing the future. Whenever the ball returned to Clark's hands, the difference was glaring. Stagnant half-court possessions instantly became blazing fast breaks. Offense that had previously stalled now flowed with the precision, speed, and vision only she could generate. Yet the coaching staff hesitated, unwilling to embrace the revolution she represented. The WNBA collective bargaining agreement looms, the 2026 season hangs in limbo, and fans can only imagine what will happen when Clark finally steps back into her natural role. When she dons the Indiana Fever jersey again, she will not be a stationary decoy. She will not be mispositioned by outdated tactics. She will hold the keys to the franchise from day one. We are about to witness what happens when an entire professional offense is constructed around her generational skill set. When she is allowed to push the pace to the absolute limit, the statistical impact will be biblical. the rest of the league is on high alert. The international community has been warned. You cannot put a silencer on a cannon. You cannot force a generational point guard to play out of position. And you cannot stop the tidal wave that is coming to the WNBA. This is the raw, unvarnished truth. The game tape tells the story. The numbers don't lie. And Caitlin Clark is ready to rewrite the future of basketball.
I believe he part of the CC.
Hey everybody, CC Report here. Just wanted to give you my instant reaction to Team USA versus New Zealand, which just concluded. Team USA more than doubles up New Zealand if they win 101 to something.
Finally earned her first start of the tournament. The internet erupted. Fans rejoiced. Everyone thought the coaching staff had finally come to their senses. But a starting position means nothing if it's designed to neutralize your greatest strengths. For the first 3 quarters, the coaching decisions defied every principle of modern basketball logic. Caitlin Clark was in the starting lineup, but so was veteran floor general Chelsea Gray. Instead of handing the keys of the offense to Clark, the most lethal transition point guard in the history of the sport, the staff designated Gray as the primary ball handler. They took the player whose entire game revolves around controlling the ball, dictating pace, and exploiting the geometry of the court, and turned her into an off-ball decoy.
Here is my evaluation. Caitlin played well enough over the first 3 quarters. She was played off ball almost exclusively when she got the start. Chelsea Gray also started and was starting at the point guard position, and Caitlin was in deference to Chelsea Gray when it came to ball handling and all that. That trend continued all the way through the first.
Listen to this breakdown carefully because it exposes the exact flaw in the Team USA system. Caitlin Clark played well over the first 3 quarters, but almost exclusively off the ball. Even though she got the start, Chelsea Gray occupied the point guard role, and Clark deferred to Gray whenever it came to ball handling. Pause for a moment and consider the sheer absurdity of this strategy. Playing Caitlin Clark off the ball is like buying a Ferrari and deciding to drive it only in school zones. It's like having Patrick Mahomes on your football team and asking him to play wide receiver so a veteran backup can throw the passes. It completely misunderstands the generational value of the athlete. The historical comparison is glaring. You would never imagine telling Magic Johnson in his prime to go stand in the corner and wait for a pass. His value wasn't in catch and shoot, it was his transcendent, galaxy-brain court vision. Caitlin Clark possesses that exact same elite point guard intelligence. When you take the ball out of her hands and force her to run baseline to baseline or play off the screens like a traditional shooting guard, you voluntarily neutralize your greatest weapon. You cut her overall basketball value in half. The results of this off-ball experiment were entirely predictable. By the end of 3 quarters, despite significant minutes, Clark had only 7 points and 3 assists. By the standards of a normal player, that's fine. But by the standards of the most electrifying offensive engine on the planet, it's a severe underperformance. She was taking a back seat. She was blending in. The offense functioned, but it was not terrifying. The velocity and chaos that usually accompany a Caitlin Clark offense were completely missing. Team USA was winning on pure talent, not tactical synergy. Then came the 4th quarter. Whether by design or out of sheer desperation, the coaching staff finally made the switch. They subbed Caitlin Clark into the game at the 7-minute mark. And this time? There was no veteran point guard to defer to. They finally handed her the undisputed keys to the offense.
Quarter, Caitlin assumed the point guard responsibilities, and she was subbed in at about the 7-minute mark in the 4th quarter as the point guard.
Now, if you all watch the game, we know in that 4th quarter,
the moment Caitlin Clark assumed the traditional point guard responsibilities, the entire atmosphere of the game shifted. The flow of the match experienced a violent, undeniable transformation. Those slow, methodical, grinding half-court sets completely vanished. The pace was instantly dialed to maximum overdrive. The New Zealand defense, which had survived the first 3 quarters by relying on physical, half-court pressure, suddenly found itself in a full-blown track meet, one they were entirely unprepared to handle. When Clark has the ball at the top of the key, she isn't just looking for her own shot. She scans the floor with a processing speed that terrifies opposing coaches. She notices the weak side help defender leaning the slightest fraction in the wrong direction. She sees the rim runner establishing position 2 seconds before the pass even needs to be thrown.
Just how many times can you underline it? It is not a smart idea for you to play Caitlin Clark off the ball exclusively or for any long period of time. I understand there may be some possessions here and there where Caitlin needs to be played off the ball, but every time that you take the ball up the court with the ball not in Caitlin...
Every time the ball isn't in Caitlin Clark's hands, her value is cut by more than half. Her magic, Galaxy Brain point guard court vision is completely ineffective when she isn't directing the offense. This is the absolute crux of the issue. In that fourth quarter, we witnessed the devastating reality of what happens when you actually let the point guard play point guard. Clark completely dismantled the New Zealand interior defense without even needing to take a shot herself. She recognized the panic in their rotations caused by her perimeter threat, and she relentlessly attacked them in the paint. She fired bullet passes, threading the needle through impossibly tight windows, finding Kiki Irian for wide-open point-blank layups over and over. She fed Monique Billings at the rim, spoon-feeding her teammates the easiest baskets of their international careers. Her statistics in just that single quarter of true point guard play are staggering. She doubled her assist total in minutes, jumping from 3 to 6, while her scoring exploded from 7 quiet points to finishing the game with 14, becoming the team's second leading scorer. In just 7 minutes of on-ball dominance, she accomplished what she could not achieve in 25 minutes of off-ball play. The tape is screaming the truth. The analytics are screaming the truth. Even Caitlin Clark's social media activity is subtly screaming the truth. It doesn't matter who else is on the floor, Chelsea Gray, Paige Butchers, Kelsey Plum, they are all phenomenal, world-class basketball players. But none possess the specific, unteachable, otherworldly court vision that Caitlin Clark wields. They do not bend the geometry of the court the way she does.
The only way that she gets to use her point guard vision is if she has the ball in her hands. The only way she gets the ball in her hands when she's not the primary ball handler is if somebody passes it to her with the intention of her scoring. And so we're more than cutting her value in half every time that
The only way Caitlin Clark gets to use her point guard vision is if she has the ball in her hands. And the only way she gets the ball when she isn't the primary handler is if someone passes it to her with the intention of her scoring. Every time that happens, her value is being cut in half. This is the terrifying reality that the Team USA coaching staff must confront before the real international tournaments begin. You cannot win gold medals by actively diminishing your best player to protect the feelings of veterans. The rest of the world is too strong. Teams like Spain, Australia, and France are highly disciplined, tactically brilliant units. Try to run a clunky two-point guard system against them, and they will exploit the lack of flow, forcing you into impossible late clock situations. You must put the ball in the hands of the player who can manufacture offense out of thin air. You must put the ball in the hands of the player who commands double teams at the logo. You must put the ball in the hands of the player who can hit a cutting teammate with a 50-foot bounce pass in stride. Caitlin Clark knows this. Her teammates know this. And judging by the explosive fourth-quarter performance against New Zealand, the coaching staff is slowly, painfully starting to realize it as well. What we are witnessing is the most highly publicized growing pain in the history of women's basketball. A generational talent is completely outgrowing the traditional system that is trying to contain her. The upcoming WNBA season is going to be a bloodbath because Caitlin Clark is building a massive reservoir of motivation. She has felt the frustration of being played out of position, of having her value artificially limited. When she finally returns to her professional franchise and is handed the absolute, unquestioned keys to the offense, without any veteran politics standing in her way, she is going to unleash a level of basketball vengeance that the league is entirely unprepared for. The question is no longer whether Caitlin Clark is the best point guard in the world. The only question left is how many more games the Team USA coaching staff is going to waste trying to pretend that she isn't. Thank you for joining me in the film room today to break down the unvarnished truth of what is happening behind the scenes and on the hardwood. We don't accept mainstream narratives. We don't tolerate clickbait. We expose the tactical reality hidden inside the game tape. If you're tired of the media covering up these coaching blunders and want the most ruthless, honest basketball analysis on the internet, smash that subscribe button and leave a like. Drop a comment below. Will the Team USA coaching staff finally hand Caitlin Clark the ball handling duties permanently in the next matchup against Spain, or will they stubbornly continue to play her off the ball and cut her value in half? I'll see you in the next breakdown.